Okay, welcome back to the Investigative Journal on this July 23rd, 2015 day on our calendar. I'm your host, Greg Anthony, and you're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com. And this is part 8, I believe. There's so many parts to this story. It might be a part 808, 8,000,008, and I'm sure most people won't give a damn about it anyway. That's just my feeling today. But anyway, this is part 8 about In Search of the Great Ice Wall. And what that seriously means is that I set out into the Pacific about, was it 8 days ago, maybe a little longer, to find that great ice wall that surrounds the Earth. Now, you might think what I'm talking about is a little bit off base, but when you really start researching things, you'll find that what I'm saying makes more sense than what you listen to from the experts at NASA, your government, your weathermen, all these crazy people who, when I start really realizing what they've done, I just kind of turn my, my head starts spinning. For example, let me tell you what I'm talking about. I turn the Weather Channel on every morning. And lately, it's this big, huge heat wave going across America. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is not because of the heat wave. It's because of how we've become people that just listen to experts for everything. And these guys get on. This guy gets on. So we're doing a big, huge story, and after this commercial break, because people leave their dogs and their babies in cars, and to break the car window, we're going to have an expert on to tell you how to do it. Now, if you got to listen to an expert to tell you how to break your car window, then you got a problem. The point is, you're not going to do it with your hand. Use common sense. You're going to have to find an object, like a bat, like a big rock, a steel bar, anything. And you just swing it, and you break the window. That's what you're going to have to do. Now, hopefully the glass won't get in the eyes of the kids in there, or the dogs, or whatever. That's, something that you're going to have to deal with. But the point is, how can you be so stupid than to leave something in your car when it's 100 degrees outside? And I'm telling you, people, just as amazing. But anyway, there's a lot of stupid things that go on in the world today, and one of them is because the reason is because we don't have any common sense anymore. We rely on experts for everything, and that's a good example. Do you need an expert to tell you how to break a car window? Well, then you're going to need an expert to tell you how to get dressed, how to go to the bathroom, how to do everything. And in a sense, you don't have any idea of how to do things on your own. So anyway, when it comes to the shape of the Earth, nothing is more evident than that we have relied on false science for so many years. Now, before I get into this a little bit, let me just explain. I've been off the air for a few days, and the reason is because I've been dealing with it. When I was out there in the ocean going due west to get to the ice wall, I was stopped because Fish and Game and all these people, Coast Guard, they can board your boat without probable cause, and they said that I had a couple fish on there. I did. I was eating that I didn't have a license for. So they escorted me back, fined me $550, and so I went the last couple days to Fish and Game to try to solve this problem. Now listen what happens at Fish and Game. This will tell you how crazy this world is. So I go to Fish and Game, and I've got my 2 dogs in my car. Now I pull into the parking lot, which is rather crowded, and I usually, even when it's cool, it's been cool in California, if it gets past a certain time, I do not leave my dogs in the car. I leave the windows open and I take them out. I even leave the windows open to give a little ventilation in the car, and I take them out and they come with me. So I go into Fish and Game, and I figure, man, there's no reason you can't bring your dog into Fish and Game. I walk in, and there's all these stuffed animals. They show stuffed foxes, bears. They got them all there, stuffed animals in glass cages looking at you. So my dogs walk in, and they automatically are pretty interested at that, and they're saying to me, please, get me out of here. I don't want to end up like that. But I told them, don't worry about it. It's air conditioned. You're better off. So we walk into Fish and Game, and there's absolutely nobody there but three people at the behind the desk. And I walk in, and I go, I got to deal with something here, and I want to make a complaint about this ticket. And they say, well, we'll deal with you, but first of all, you've got to get the dogs out of here. I said, what are you talking about? It's Fish and Game. I thought it's animal friendly. Oh, no. You've got to get the dogs out. I said, why? They're not bothering anybody. There's nobody here. Allergies. Some people could be allergic to them. I said, there's nobody here. Now what about, and then they had this stuffed animal, not in a glass cage, right over it was a moose or something. With the moose hair, I said, well, wouldn't they be allergic to that, formaldehyde or whatever they do to that moose? So basically, they weren't going to talk to me, so I had to go back out. Now what I did, it wasn't that hot in the morning yet. It was early, so it was kind of cool. So I left the windows down, and I put my dogs back in the car. Now, one of my dogs guards the car, and that's why I don't need an alarm system. She's better. I don't have to listen to the alarm go off when I'm in the store and I hear my alarm go. I don't have an alarm. I have a dog that is better than an alarm. Nobody's coming near my car. Now, she's not going to bite anybody. She just protects it and barks and looks mean. So anyway, she's out there with my other dog, who is bigger, and he's kind of like just the showpiece. When people look at him, they think he's barking, but actually it's the little one. So together, they're better than an alarm system. Nobody will come near my car for fear of dying. So anyway, I'm in there dealing with these women at the counter, and in walks the suit. And he says this, who owns that car out there with the two dogs in it? I said, I do. He said, well, we're going to give you a ticket. I go, for what? Leaving your dogs in the car on a hot day. I said, it's not that hot. And secondly, the dog almost bit me as I was walking in. It turned out to be the head honcho at the Fish and Game. So I said, listen, I brought them in here, and I couldn't keep them in here, so I had to put them in the car. What do you want me to do? Why can't I just bring them in here? He says, that dog almost bit me, and we're going to, and I said, listen, I ain't paying one more ticket to you guys if I can't bring a dog in the Fish and Game. Now I got a ticket here because I was eating two fish out there without a license, and now you're going to give me another one. And he finally he just said, don't ever let it happen again, and he walked away. Give me a break. So anyway, that's my Fish and Game story. So the last few days I've been dealing with that and kind of retooling to figure out how to get to the ice wall and show people, like mariners back in the 17th and 18th century, that this earth is not a globe. Now, people keep saying, Greg, why are you on this story? You're doing part 8. You've done a number of shows for the last month. And so I have to explain that. I think it's important. Then somebody emailed me, said, do you realize that maybe most of these people that are out there doing this are all co-intel, and this is just a diversion for what else is happening in the world, and they want us to think about this and forget about what else? Well, they always do that. So let me deal with the two issues. Since this issue of the flat earth is gaining momentum in the last year, and I've seen so many more people talk about it, are the powers that be using it as a diversion? I believe yes. They always do. Now, what have they been diverting our attention from in the last few days or the week that I've been doing this? Well, one thing is you guys in this state, in this country, are in big trouble. And let me give you an example. Just recently, our governor here in California communist, whatever you want to call him, Jerry Brown. This is his. I thought you could only have so many years. He was already governor years ago when he was a young guy. Now he's a governor again? What is this? Like you're appointed the Duke of California or something? Before that, we had that, the Terminator in here. Some Nazi actor, as governor. Now we got Jerry Brown again. And guess what he's doing? Now you guys are in big trouble. Because he just went to Rome with a number of people. What I heard was mayors from Northern California to see the Pope. Now, why in the hell what does the Pope have to do with California? Well, he wants to pass the first energy-related bill that's going to basically show the world and show the rest of America that we are serious about reducing carbon monoxide in the air, and he wants to ration gas, or his goal is to get people to use half the gas that they normally do. Well, there's more gas being spread over there in that room with the Pope coming out of their mouths than everybody in this state put together driving on a nice day. Now, first of all, carbon monoxide there isn't global warming because of carbon monoxide. And all they want to do is control your travel and control you and start, basically switching the way you live and basically making life miserable. And so ask yourself, why would he go to the Pope? What does the Pope, I thought this was a country of, division between church and state. Now the Pope's coming here in September. Don't you know he's their big satanic leader? That's what they worship? And by the way, they all know it's a flat earth. Just look at the United Nations map, their flag. And so we got Jerry Brown visiting with the Pope. That's one thing going on. There's so much more. Oh, we got this Jade Helm thing, and there's people on this story talking about all that military buildup, that idea. We got post 9/11 this and post 9/11 that. But before I get back to part 8 of the Flat Earth, let me discuss this. A couple of readers have been sending me a lot of things about dead doctors. There's been a lot of holistic doctors recently across the country that are dying or getting shot or, suspicious circumstances. And most of them have to do with anti-vaccinations. And then they're asking in question, why are they being killed? Well, that's the second thing they're doing in California. Second, now they've made it mandatory that every kid that go to public school has to get vaccinated. And do you think that's going to end there? No, they got another bill that's going to make it mandatory now for health workers, adults, to get vaccinated, and that's just their beginning of mandatory vaccinations for every human being. And if you don't, you go to jail. So those are a couple of things that are on the agenda here, which make this, like I told you, the Pope runs the world, and this guy, and this whole idea that you want to let the Vatican in because they're good. I told you to research the Vatican, and I told you everything about it. Now, secondly, people have been talking about, I've said many times, I used to like to listen to George Carlin before he died, and then I got some backlash from Christians who said he swears too much. Well, I don't really care about that. Get over it. I mean, so I decided to, somebody sent me this, and I'd read this years ago when the same issue came up. And there's one thing I didn't know, though, that his wife, I think they killed him, George, in 2008. I just have a feeling they weren't going to let him in to talk against Obama. It had been a field day for him, so they had to get rid of him because he was getting real close, especially with his owners. He was telling us in his comedy about the owners of this world. We're not in their club. America's good at war, etc., etc., and we played much of that on this show. But I somehow overlooked his wife died post 9/11, and he wrote something after that. And it's an eloquent message, and I use it to tell you that I believe You got to listen to this. This is something important. It's something that he put into words. Before they killed him, he was going to get the Mark Twain Award, but he got it after his death. But anyway, this was his message right after his wife died and before they killed him. He said, "The paradox of our time in history is that we have taller buildings but shorter tempers, wider freeways but narrower viewpoints. We spend more but have less. We buy more but enjoy less. We have bigger houses but smaller families, more conveniences but less time. We have more degrees but less sense, more knowledge but less judgment, more experts yet more problems, more medicine but less wellness. We drink too much, smoke too much, spend too recklessly, laugh too little, drive too fast, get too angry, stay up too late, get up too tired, read too little, watch TV too much, and pray too seldom. We have multiplied our possessions but reduced our values. We talk too much, love too seldom, and hate too often. We've learned how to make a living but not a life. We've added years to life, not life to years. We've been all the way to the moon and back, as they say, but have trouble crossing the street to meet a new neighbor. We conquered outer space, they say, but not inner space. We've done larger things, but not better things. We've cleaned up the air, but polluted the soul. We've conquered the atom, but not our prejudice. We write more, but learn less. We plan more, but accomplish less. We've learned to rush, but not to wait. We build more computers to hold more information, to produce more copies than ever, but we communicate less and less. These are the times of fast foods and slow digestion, big men and small characters, steep profits and shallow relationships. These are the days of 2 incomes, but more divorce, fancier houses, but broken homes. These are the days of quick trips, disposable diapers, throwaway morality, one-night stands, overweight bodies, and pills that do everything from cheer to quiet to kill. It's a time when there is much in the showroom window and nothing in the stockroom. A time when technology can bring this letter to you, and at a time when you can choose either to share this insight or just to hit delete. Remember, spend some time with your loved ones because they are not going to be around forever. Remember, say a kind word to someone who looks up to you in awe, because that person soon will grow up and leave your side. Remember to give him a warm hug to the one next to you, because that is the only treasure you can give with your heart, and it doesn't cost a cent. Remember to say I love you to your partner and your loved ones, but most of all, mean it. A kiss and embrace will mend hurt when it comes from deep inside you. Remember to hold hands and cherish the moment, for someday that person will not be there again. Give time to love, give time to speak, and give time to share the precious thoughts in your mind. So we got, that bad-mouthed, foul-mouthed comedian who many Christians, I remember after he died how a couple of them came out and said, he's going to burn in hell. Typical. But anyway, how much time do I got in this half hour? About 6 minutes. Well, let me get past this subject and move on to part 8 of In Search of the Great Ice Wall. Now, before I do that, let me tell you that I've been researching this, but I can't help but get a laugh at all the infighting that goes on in this movement, so to speak. And every guy out there that's doing most of the, higher tech videos and getting out there in the public eye, Eric Dubai, Mark Sargent, the guy named Jaronism, Matt Boylan, all these, they're all fighting. And one's a COINTEL person, the other saying this, so on and so forth. And my point, I take a different point. I don't care who they are or what they are. I really don't. If they're all COINTEL or none of them, it makes no difference to me. I just take their information and assume nothing. Take it for what it's worth, and when you hear something that doesn't make too much sense, question it yourself. And it is these, but then I noticed, besides these, there's a number of people always out there in the front of this. And now, for example, I'm from Notre Dame High School, a Catholic. And isn't it funny that us Catholics really are, and Matt Boylan, he's from a Jesuit school. Jeranism, he's from some Jesuit school. Uh, and so I think with Mark Sargent, yeah. Now, I don't know about Dubai, uh, but isn't it funny that we're all from the same place? So let's say one says, hey, this guy's this because he's a Jew. No, no, no. You could say the same thing about me. 'Cause I went to an all-Catholic school, right? So you don't know. So just take for what they say, look at it, and use your common sense. Now, there's a lot of secondary videos out there, guys who just basically talk like the average Joe, and you get a lot of truth from those guys. So remember that. Don't just rely on these guys at the top of the food chain here with this issue. And I know that somebody has to be on the other side. I don't care who it is, and like I said, I've dealt with these issues years and years and years with other subjects such as 9/11, the Vatican, the Jesuits, Leo Zagami, the whole shot. And I've dealt with many COINTEL people in all movements, and I don't really care anymore who they are. I'll talk to them, have lunch with them. They have a job to do. I have a job to do. And that's the end of the story. Just choose what side you're on and go from there. But it's that deception that we live in, so remember that there are people out there deceiving you, saying they're one thing and another, and then arguing, like Alex Jones and John Stadtmiller. I got to know that they seem to hate each other on the air, but they work together for the same people. Okay, fine, big deal. What are you going to do? Fight the rest of your life? No. Accept it, move on. They have a role. We have, other people have a role. Now, for example, I always say, thank you, Vatican. If you weren't around, or let's say all these people are COINTEL, I wouldn't have gotten to the truth or getting closer to the truth. So I thank you for that. So they have a purpose. Good. Now, let's look at this issue and say to yourself, okay, past all this, the common sense of whether the Earth is round, that you can do a lot of experiments, horizon experiments, take a sextant, measure, trigonometry, the whole shot, which tells you that it can't be a globe. But beyond that, what is it all about? It's about astronomy and how it can be manipulated. And let me tell you, I'm in the process. Now, this is a very tedious book, but I found that it's a book called Kings Dethroned. Kings Dethroned. Now, get it. And when you get it, it's online. You can read the whole thing. It's going to bore you to death. But it's the history of astronomy from the Roman Empire until, I think, in the 20s, before NASA. And you're going to see this man has done his homework as far as the blunders and the basic outright false science used today based on what was done in the past. And he says that since the 2nd century, none of this globe makes sense. And he shows it through math, and he did a heck of a job. But it's very tedious, but it's something you have to do, because once you get past the horizons and all the little common sense things you can do, you're going to be confronted with all these things that seem really over your head. At least for me, I'm not a mathematician. But what I found out is what NASA uses today is based on huge blunders that were made way back in the 2nd century, even then following through the time of Copernicus and all of these astronomers who have really no basis for what they say. And NASA builds on blunders. Back in 3 minutes on the Investigative Journal.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character, as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy, in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the Revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the left-behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.
Okay, we're back for the second half hour on this July 23rd, 2015 day on our calendar. This is FirstAmendmentRadio.com. You can catch my show every evening, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's on FirstAmendmentRadio.com. Sometimes I wonder why I keep doing this show. I've been doing it for years, and it's not commercially viable. It's not anything that Procter & Gamble or any of these companies are going to, or my Panera. You know, I see that commercial all the time on TV now. It's a place I had coffee, and now they're a big, huge corporation. They're not going to sponsor me, but they'll take my money when I go have coffee, won't they? So if my Panera really backs up what they say about good food and I support it, why don't you support good information? No, you're going to support lies. That's exactly how this country works. The main people that want to make money, these corporations, buy into the lie, and they support liars. People who, they'll support NASA, they'll support the Weather Channel and all that garbage, but they don't support people who get down to wanting to get to the bottom of the truth, because really it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. We would rather live this kind of fantasy world. We don't care if Jerry Brown goes and talks to the Pope and they're going to kill everybody. They could care less, just as long as it's not me. And we don't care that the Jesuits and all these people in our government, they're working together to create this terror, fear, and all these people are dying in the Mideast. We do not care. Let's just face it, that we just are going to live this fantasy world. So why not take it to the extreme? You know, that's why I'm in search of this great ice wall, because it's so absurd on land. It is ridiculous living on this planet. And here I go calling it a planet. See how they've done this? It's actually a plane. Take away the E.T. or Plane, and that's what it is. It's got a good chance of being that because it makes sense when you really research it. And so, you know, besides all the dead doctors, and I got another email, there's 7 now, you know, all these holistic doctors getting knocked off, all these journalists that get knocked off when they get too close to the Bush empire of drugs and the cartel, all these people that get killed when they try to get to the truth of Kennedy and all these people. Besides all that nonsense that we know the government is full of you-know-what, and they're doing this along with the help and the strategy of the Vatican and the Jesuit order have been doing this for centuries, and that's what we've done in the show for 10 years. And I get an email from somebody saying, Greg, thank you, I've been reading your stuff, and your message is finally getting out there. Look, I don't really care if it gets out there, because here's the deal. There's no way that they're going to allow this message to get to the mainstream. Because once you start getting popular, like I said, like George Carlin and others, and many others, who get too popular with this, then they kill you. And then everybody forgets about it. And I know this for a fact. It has to be this way. Now, I was warned years ago by the godson of Cardinal Marcinkus, who was a crooked cardinal running the Vatican Bank, when I was trying to research a story regarding whether he was involved in the Italian. He was put in a monastery, put in some diocese in Phoenix after that big huge Vatican Bank scandal. He died there a few years ago as an old man. Maybe they killed him. Just happened to be died when they were investigating and trying the Calvi murder. Roberto Calvi, the bank president of the Bank of Ambrosiano. And Italian journalists were here, and the prosecutors were going to maybe try to get him extradited. Oh, yeah. The American government would never allow that to happen, because they airlifted him out of Vatican City when he was indicted on bank fraud. And then the Vatican paid the Italian government $250 million. Did you ever get any of this story here? No. Because they're setting this country up for the big fall. And you can't know all this stuff. So I'm doing a story about it years ago, and I get a message from his godson, nice man. Alfred was his first name. Greg, you're not going to get anywhere with this kind of talk. You got a good voice. You could be a good entertainer. Why don't you get off the Vatican kick? Because in the end, no one's going to believe you, and your fellow Americans will let you out to hang. They'll let you out to dry if you become too popular. They don't really care. So why do you go on with it? I can help you get a nice job. Live the good life. Forget about it. You ain't going to go anywhere with this story. And he was right. That's the real thing here. He's right. If somebody came to my door right now this could be anybody, and they said, Greg, you can't be talking this way, and it's government, and they take me, all the American people around will go, see, I told you who was a bad seed. They wouldn't care. They don't care. And I know that. So why do you do it? I do it because I want to know what the truth is. I don't want to just put my pretty little head on the pillow and come up with it. Oh, today I believe in this, like many, many other people do. There's so many truths, and everybody believes nonsense. Because how many people just believe everything you hear on the internet too? That makes me ill. So I tell you, don't believe a word I say. And in fact, this search for the ice wall and the final deception, which I consider the final deception, is good therapy. Because, once you get to this point, you see the folly of it, and then, hey, they can call me, they'll probably just leave me alone. Because everybody will think you're crazy anyway. And sometimes that's the best way to be. Remember the old story about how the Jesuits do business. Always make your enemy think you're weak. Well, I'm as weak as they come, as crazy as they come to believe this, so just leave me alone. And you know what? Unless you get popular, they will. Don't worry about it. They got bigger fish to fry. They're always waiting for that guy to break through and start getting to the masses. Then they go to work to make sure that this folly, all of these lies continue. But anyway, like I said, I wanted to continue with Flat Earth. This is called The Circle Earth, In Search of the Great Ice Wall. And I'm going to play... now, Jaronism is one of these guys. He was going to come on my show because he was doing some experiments, and he's one of these guys out there in the front that some people call COINTEL, some people don't. He calls others that, so I don't really care who he is, and you figure it out. And in the end, what's the difference? To think about it. There's so much of it on the internet. You might as well just deal with it and use your common sense. And like I said, be thankful they're there, because without people like this, if he is on that side, I don't really care, and I'm not accusing anybody. You can accuse me. I'm from Notre Dame High School, Catholic high school. Maybe I'm working for the Pope. Who knows? You see what I mean? But anyway, listen to it. And if he is on that side, hey, without him, how are you going to get to the truth? That's what I say about the Vatican. If the Vatican was not there, how would I be able to ever understand the truth? Unless, I want a fantasy world. How many people go to bed with the wrong ideas about, but they think that that's the truth? Oh yeah, that's why there's a million truths in this world. And everybody has their own, and how do you know? It's because when you go to bed and you put your little head on the pillow and what you think, that's the truth. And many people will go to bed with so many different heads on the pillow. None of them their own. But that's not going to happen to me. And that's why I do it. But anyway, let's listen to Jeranism here about the Circle Earth and some things he found out right here on the Investigative Journal.
Jeranism back again. Another video for you. Today's is cool. I think that it's got the info that may be needed for any of you Globetrotters. It might be the one thing that switches you to a belief in something new, something different, something that actually works in this place we call reality. Not like the globe theory, which still holds no water, or holds all the water, depending on how you look at it. So, I want to talk about this superior bullshit, also known as the superior mirage, which lifts magically images 3,000 feet into the sky. Even though science doesn't believe in magic, sometimes they do, only when it fits their agenda. And I've also got a little piece on some stars. We'll talk about that. Just as you think about airplanes flying around the globe as well, as planes went around it, they would be turning upside down and all kinds of different directions. People would be standing in every direction. If we told everyone to look north at the same time, they'd be all looking in many different directions. But this is something that's hard to depict in a drawing or an image. This is something you really need to, if you're interested in it and you care, take 10 minutes and really just think about the globe. Hopefully this little video helps you. So here you see the Earth. I'm just in Google Earth, viewing it from the outside. Now watch the stars as I rotate the Earth, and I'm pretending that we are in North America. And if I'm just turning the globe the way that it would turn, counterclockwise, you'll see that the stars behind you go in a perpendicular fashion. You would see the stars flash in front of you, going right to left or left to right, and that's it. You would not see them do a circle. In order to get the stars to do a circle, and you'll see now I'm turning the globe end over end, still not getting the same results. The only way that I can get the stars to do the circle that we all see, each one of us see it every single night, is to get underneath the globe and turn it while looking up. Meaning that the only person in the world that can see what we all see is the person standing at the North Pole, who would be spinning at that North Pole point, and the stars would be doing a circle around his head. Also, yes, the person on the South Pole would see the same thing from the South Stars. But this is not at all matching with reality. Go look at time lapses. Look at anybody who's ever taken a time-lapse photo of the stars. Go tonight and watch the stars. They do not pass in front of you right to left. It doesn't work. And here you go. You can see I'm going underneath the globe now and looking up. Takes me a little minute here. I'm not the best at Google Earth, so sometimes I got to mess around with the directions a little. But you'll see here now that I grab it and start spinning it, you'll see that the sky finally turns in the correct way. Now, the way that it's been explained to me is that we all occupy the location at the top of the globe. So this is just NASA and science excuses that do not conform to reality, just like everything they tell you that works on their globe. We cannot all occupy the top position. That's why I'm asking, why can't I see a picture of buildings upside down on the Earth? Why can't I see pictures of the Eiffel Tower standing sideways? Because it's impossible. Because buildings don't stand sideways. ever. Not under gravity, not in space, nothing. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. When have you ever seen that in any other part of your life? None. They tell you it happens, and you all believe them. I understand that. I was a believer too. But if you take 10 minutes and really just start thinking about what the globe means, how we would all live on the globe with these massive curvatures of water, I mean, you'd have half the boats going uphill, half the boats going downhill. Yes, I know what science says. Don't come write me and say, no, you don't understand. Everyone has the same force of gravity on them. Therefore, there is no up or downhill. I understand that, but it's bullshit. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And that, last but not least, is the fact that science does require that you believe them. And if you can't see it, nothing I say is going to make you open your eyes to it. You need to look at it yourself. I know how great everyone thinks science is. I know what a perfect organization you think they are, because you don't understand that they've set up a system that can't fail. It's a system that you can't lose in because they're always right. If they're not right about something, then they're right, because they're right on the next day. And if one of their theories from 10 years ago gets disproven, well, they're right today. So you have a bunch of little boys running around thinking they're cool, going into forums and making fun of Christians because they have science backing them, which is basically just a get-out-of-jail-free card. You can go into any debate and you can't lose. Who can beat science? What kind of evidence are you going to give that the person's going to go, oh, you're right, you win this debate. My scientific evidence means nothing compared to your evidence. It's impossible. Science has given itself a free pass into every person's mind and heart as the truth. When it's not the truth, it's an accepted group of dogmas. It's an accepted foundation of nonsense that people have bought into. Hats off to science, but if that's what you want to believe, I'm not going to be able to help you. It's theoretical physics. It's stuff like that that is not based in reality. Gravity is not based in reality. A globe is not based in reality. 25 trillion or 400 trillion miles for a star, not based in reality. All this stuff, 92 million miles for the damn sun, is not based in reality. Oh, it'll be 8 minutes when the sun blows up until you find out. Yeah, sure. Why don't you test that? Why don't you show us? Oh, you can't. You're just making it up, just like everything else. 4.55 billion years old is the Earth. My ass. So to all the Globetrotters, try and follow along. I know we're not spinning at 1,050 miles per hour. We're not hurling through space at 66,000 miles per hour, so maybe you can't keep up. But if you can't, then take your ball and go home. Or you can go to Mars. You and Elon Musk. That's going to happen. Just get on a space shuttle, fly all the way to Mars. You'll just get off there and live happily ever after. Forget about the fact that your bones will deteriorate. All that stuff is unimportant. You're going to Mars. You're going to travel the universe. Hyperspeed through wormholes. All that stuff's really going to happen. I suggest you get with reality.
Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration.
The funniest thing for me is I was a former theist, former Catholic, and I'm more upset at myself for formerly believing in science than I am. I can accept the fact that I believed in religion. It's not that far-fetched. Science is out of this world far-fetched. It is a joke. You no longer deal truthfully, even though science never should have touted truth, since science is a method to come to probability levels, and the significance of which is left for you to judge. Science doesn't know the truth. It should be the method that we all use to search for truth. Your current equations on top of conjecture mixed with theories that always find a way to rationalize with a predetermined belief, like if gravity isn't working, then you add dark matter. The universe is expanding, then you pull the cosmological constant. Now you need it again, okay, put it back in. Just as we humans have learned that the Pope isn't the all-knowing, the knower of all things, well, we've learned the same thing from scientists. You got Dawkins, who can't even explain evolution, Krauss saying something can come from nothing. And why does this all continue? You guys remember Galileo? He wasn't conforming to the high priest dogma. So what do you think that peer review is? It's a scientific circle jerk, and it doesn't look pretty with each of you guys standing there with your heads up your ass. We're just no longer impressed by the man behind the curtain. So, speaking of that, let's talk about what a superior mirage is. And I couldn't really tell you what it is other than being complete and total bullshit. I have seen some examples of it before. Maybe some people have seen images before where a boat may appear to be a couple feet off the water due to some sort of mirage where the item is lifted from our vantage point? That's basically what it is. Well, the all-time biggest bullshit use of it came a couple weeks ago when somebody took a picture from Grandmere, Michigan to Chicago. Now, those two shores are 59 miles apart based on the curvature of the Earth, which is a known fact, which is a given, which is never to be questioned again. That can't even come close to happening. And I'm going to show you both the video footage, show you the picture, and then show you the math involved in figuring out how far we should be able to see, and then we can decide together whether or not it is a superior mirage or superior bullshit of the superior theory of flat Earth. So, first things first, the number one question I get continually asked is why can't we all see to both ends of the Earth if we are on a flat plane? And the reason why is because humans don't have vision of infinity. There is a set limit to what we can see, which could depend on atmospheric pressure, could depend on the haze, the smog, what kind of heavy industrialized area are you in, etc., etc. So, that being said, the image coming up on your screen, I'm going to be finishing up a video soon on, where I'll cover it a lot more, but basically it's just kind of a belief that there is a certain maximum to our eyesight based on the amount of air molecules between you and wherever you're looking. And it's probably pretty constant. I'm guessing it's around what they tell us it is for the horizon. But anyway, look for that video. It'll kind of give us a better idea of how far we can see and why we can't see to infinity. As far as figuring out the Earth curvature for an area, that's easy. You just take 8 times the distance in miles times the distance in miles. Then you take that and divide by 12, and that will be your answer in feet. So, for example, we'll do 2 miles of distance. To figure out what the curve would be there, 8 times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, and that gives us our inches. Then we divide by 12 if we want to get our feet, and we get 2.66 as the amount of curvature of the Earth in between you and 2 miles away from you. This should be able to be measured.
Okay, and we can measure Hawaii to California. What is the curvature of the Earth? From Hawaii to California, it should be 2,468 miles. 8 times 2,468 times 2,468 equals 48,728.92 inches. Divide by 12, 4,060. 683. 760 miles of curvature. Now, simple math based on what they tell us is the circumference of the Earth.
It is not. Let's look at an example of such craziness that it actually almost single-handedly got me
He's going to talk about the same thing. I just wanted to mention it to you.
full belief in the flat Earth. And that is between California and Hawaii, 2,468 miles. Take that number times 2468, 8 times 2468 times 2468, and you get some incredible amount of inches. I think it's like 50 million. Divide that by 12 and you get 4 million. And then you can take that 4 million and divide that by 5280 to go from feet to miles. And your answer is 769 miles of curvature. Look it up. Again, don't ever believe me. Don't think I'm telling you to believe me. I'm not trying to fool anyone. That is the answer. So, knowing that, imagine a few things for me. For instance, the ISS flies about between 150 and 250 miles in space, supposedly. Now, how would there be a 769-mile-high hump in between California and Hawaii? Well, believe it or not, wake up, knock knock, McFly, anyone there? If you believe in the globe, then you believe there is a hump of water that is 100 times higher than any plane flies in between California and Hawaii that cannot be measured, that you call science. Cannot be measured or tested, you call it science. Scientific method, yet you don't use the scientific method. It just makes no sense to me. I've actually seen comments from people who say that they're all about science, they back science and everything, that tell me that if the Earth was flat, there wouldn't be a horizon. Craziness. Insane. Anyway, take a look at the picture. It's awesome. I actually have seen that this guy has more, but this one I found on another site, so I feel safe using it. But
Okay, we're going to run out of time here, and the picture he's showing you, we'll finish this up tomorrow on part 9 of In Search of the Great Ice Wall. And what he's showing you is that picture of Chicago, my hometown, by the way. I've been on those shores many times. From that point of view, I think it's some 50-some miles away in Michigan. And it's incredible. With that curvature, you should not be able to see this. But yes, you do. You see a flat horizon. Now, we're going to get into that tomorrow. I'll bring you, we got, he's going to explain it again. I've talked about it before. And then we're going to get the official, put that in quotes, response after this guy who contacted Channel 7 Weather, or constantly barraging them with this, telling them they're goofy. And I want to tell the Weather Channel people the same thing. They're showing us these pictures from NASA and Pluto and all this stuff. They're out of their ever-loving mind, if I'm going to believe that. See you tomorrow on the Investigative Journal.